Hi everyone, this is Syrian Girl. I have Suzie Dawson here with me today. She was the leader of the New Zealand Internet Party, which is a political party that specialized in internet privacy, anti-censorship, internet freedom, and also she's a anti-war activist. She was part of the Occupy Wall Street movement, a woman of many, many talents. She is using her technical skills as a computer scientist to bring us PanQuake, this amazing new social, well, I don't know how perfectly to describe it, but I think Suzie will do that now. Hi, Suzie, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
And if you guys want to know why I have pancakes in the background, it's because we're talking about PanQuake, and the background might change, so we'll keep this one for now. Okay, so can you tell us first of all, what is PanQuake? It's a cool name. What does it do?
Thank you. PanQuake is the solution to our problems in terms of us being content creators, us being anti-war activists, us being anti-surveillance activists. It is taking care of our privacy, giving us security in our communications. It is ensuring that our communications are no longer going to be manipulated or interfered with. It is going to restore our ability to increase our social reach and to circulate information. So it's a short messaging service, it's on the blockchain, and it's everything that big tech has been taking away from us for the last 10 years. And so really it is the future of communications for anybody who cares about making a difference in this world, and who is frustrated by the constant manipulations of big tech.
So, I have been involved with PanQuake. Would it be fair to describe it as a potential alternative to Twitter more than anything?
So I think like Twitter is really old now. It's, 2006, 2007 they started. They were not such a bad platform in 2009, 2010, 2011. We started to see though the creeping censorship through the 2012, 2016 period in particular. And then in the last 5 years, it has ramped up to ridiculous levels. Basically, PanQuake is about solving all of those problems that users are having, not just with Twitter, but other social platforms as well, and really respecting users, not even just restoring their human rights, but respecting users, and putting them back in control of their relationships. Because as you know, on big tech platforms, we have no control over what content we are seeing or what content our followers are seeing from us. Our interactions are being meddled with, our followers are being taken away from us, we're being suppressed, our information is being constrained and suppressed. And PanQuake just opens those floodgates and restores freedom to users.
I've, there's been a lot of other attempts at creating alternatives to the social media giants, attempts to make something that it allows people not to be censored, basically anti-censorship platforms. However, there's been limited success because the problem is that they try to be exactly the same as what's already out there, and therefore they don't get adopted by the masses. What ends up happening is they get adopted by the people who have been sort of exiled from Twitter and Facebook. And so what ends up happening is you have a smaller circle and you're preaching to the converted sort of thing. And some of these platforms, they have been kind of relegated to one side of politics, like conservative politics. But as I understand it, PanQuake is going to be something that is not just useful politically, but it's gonna the target audience everyone on all spectrums, and including normal people who just want to look at food recipes. Would you say that that's accurate?
Well, it's certainly true that we have designed PanQuake to be as accessible as possible to the masses. It definitely has a cute factor. It's got the hygiene factor of no advertising on the platform, of no sponsored content, no paid boosting. It really creates a level playing field for all of our users. And it also has a whole set of new functionality. And the reality is that functionality is going to be useful to brands, it's going to be useful to organizations, it's going to be useful to people on the left wing, people on the right wing, people in the middle, or people who have no political bent or even interest whatsoever. I'm from a family of people that are not politically engaged at all, that are not activists. And they are going to be equally as well served by using PanQuake as anybody who is politically engaged. And so I think it is really important that we open ourselves up to the full political spectrum. Certainly, if you look at the endorsers of PanQuake, we have some conservative endorsers, we have some left-wing endorsers, we have a range of endorsers that represents that spectrum, and I expect our users will do the same. Now, absolutely, I do expect that in different circles, we will be pigeonholed in different ways or misrepresented as being one wing or the other. I've seen already that conservatives are being told that this is a liberal platform and liberals are being told that this is a conservative platform. And that's just the typical kind of divide and conquer games that you can expect. But I think that functionality is king. And when you put new tools in people's hands that gives them capabilities that they don't have anywhere else, and they understand the power and the opportunity that those capabilities give them, that is what is going to make this, in the words of Graham Elwood, when he saw a preview of our platform, he said, this is going to spread like wildfire. I do think PanQuake is going to spread like wildfire because we're bringing things to the table that just don't exist anywhere else on the internet.
That's one of the things that made me believe in the project, because I think that, trying to recreate the wheel, reinvent the wheel, is not going to make people interested in your product. But what you have is something, you're giving something new that doesn't exist yet. So one of the things that, with Twitter, for example, you have a tweet and then you can retweet. And then you can make a tweet thread of your tweets. Of course, with PanQuake, you make quakes. You can amplify other people's quakes. But you can also make something called a PanQuake. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. So PanQuake is a curation tool and a sharing tool, which is extremely powerful. So basically, whatever your topic or subject of interest, or if you're looking at information about a certain event or something that's going on in the world, we allow you to, in a matter of just easy clicks, select messages which you think are really relevant or really powerful or which you want people to see, and you just click, 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 select those messages, and those messages that you select get added to what we call a stack. And when you are done making your selections from content wherever on the network, on your own timeline or other people's timelines, then you hit that stack button and it stacks all of those messages that you've selected into a link. That link comes in a little pop-up box, and then you take that link and you can share it anywhere on the internet. You can email it, you can SMS it to someone, you can share it to Facebook or Twitter or wherever you like. And when somebody clicks on that link, it brings them to panquake.com, to a timeline that is composed of only those messages that you've selected that you want them to see. So for me, if I'm looking at coverage of Julian Assange legal hearing or something like that, as I frequently do, I can easily and quickly select the best content that's been created, the best news items of the day, stack them into a PanQuake, send that link to people, or I can actually put that link straight into a new Quake, post it to my timeline, and everybody can see, here is this curated selection of the absolute best content that Suzie has news spotted about this event or whatever it is that's going on. So yeah, it's pretty awesome function.
So if you guys want like something to make you visualize this more easily, imagine that you can make a Twitter thread, but you can put other people's tweets into the Twitter thread, and you're making a PanQuake stack, like a stack of PanQuakes. So we're a stack of quakes. But
Exactly right.
yes, so that's something that is absolutely new. Nobody's done that before, and therefore people are gonna want this. It's gonna be something that people are going to like, and we want. I guess we want to also appeal to the general masses, and so as far as I understand, or we will come back to more features because there's even more features. But the thing that comes to my mind at the moment is what will pull a younger generation. Of course, the cute factor, that's very important. Like I can't, the weight of the cuteness is all people on the internet love cute things. But also you have gamification inbuilt into the system. Can you tell us about the gamification?
So there are a couple of things that were super important to us in designing this, beyond just making it a private and secure network where you won't be spied on and where your data won't be sold, where you won't be subjected to advertising. The ethical considerations of operating a social media company. We don't want to addict our users, but we do want to make it really fun for them. And we want to generate good feelings between people and to strengthen relationships between people. And so in all of our functionality sets, we have built in advantages and rewards for doing kind things and for sharing in good experiences, creating good experiences between people in their relationships. So we call it altruistic gamification, and that is gamification where you're rewarded for giving something to someone else, for doing something to help someone else. And Thunderquakes is our biggest altruistic gamification feature. Thunderquakes are something that you earn on the platform by performing various actions. Like I said, we didn't want to addict people to the platform. So Thunderquake points are only accrued for the first of each type of action that you take on the platform for the day, because we don't want people sitting there for 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 hours trying to farm up Thunderquake points. So each time that you just do a few actions that take a couple of minutes to complete, on each new day that you're logged in, you accrue these points. And when you get to 100%, you get a Thunderquake point. And Thunderquake points must be gifted to accounts that you love, that you care about, and who you want to have exponentially greater social reach and impact for their messaging. So for myself, it's pretty much a given. I would send my Thunderquake points to WikiLeaks without hesitation, because I think WikiLeaks content is really important and that people should see it and be able to access it. So I gift my Thunderquake point to WikiLeaks. What that does is it allows WikiLeaks to, instead of just sending a normal quake, to send a Thunderquake. A Thunderquake is a pre-scheduled message. So if WikiLeaks has some live event on that they want people to know about, they would write a promotional message about that event. They would schedule it, say it's next Monday at 5 p.m. And so they would then send that Thunderquake message, and it goes as a notification, as an interaction to every single one of WikiLeaks followers. So in the notifications tab of those followers, they will see a message that says, WikiLeaks is going to post this Thunderquake next Monday at 5 p.m. Shows them what the message in the Thunderquake is and says, would you like to participate, yes or no? And if the follower of WikiLeaks wants to help to spread that message, they'll click yes. If they don't like the message for some reason, they'll click no, and it will just disappear. And then on Monday at 5 p.m., when the Thunderquake message posts to WikiLeaks timeline, it will simultaneously post to the timelines of every single follower who has opted into supporting that Thunderquake. So WikiLeaks could have a message go to thousands or tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of accounts simultaneously, creating a huge, big, as we say, Thunderquake as the message spreads across the network. And that happens even if the follower who has opted in is offline. So when you see that notification and you agree to participate in the Thunderquake, even if you're not online when that Thunderquake posts to the timeline of the user who wrote it, it will still be copied to your timeline automatically. So this is an incredibly powerful feature for any brand, organization, or content creator.
It kind of reminds me of an old feature that Twitter used to have, which was the Thunderclap. It was like an app you could attach to Twitter. But what ended up happening is it was giving too much power to the little guys because they were coordinating their message, and so Twitter actually banned the use of what was it, thunderclaps. So now you're bringing in thunderquakes, and it's coming back with a vengeance, sort of thing. And
It
then,
is, but it's an enhanced and next generation
yes,
concept, right? Because think about it from WikiLeaks perspective. If their followers are sending them thunderquakes, and thunderquakes are hard to earn, they're not easy to earn. The fastest you can earn a thunderquake point is 5 days, but it's more likely it's going to take you 8.5 days to earn a thunderquake point, because we want them to be rare and valuable. We want it to really mean something when someone gives you a thunderquake point, and it to really mean something when you get to spend it and use this functionality. So from WikiLeaks perspective, if someone is spending all that time just to give them a really powerful messaging feature, they're going to know, hey, that follower is like really legit, and they're actually really engaged, and they actually really care. Because think about it, the FBI is not going to give you thunderquake points. They're not going to want your message to get out to the masses, right? So it also, it's kind of a social validation function as well. Like it'll help people to form bonds and genuine relationships, and just really increase the feel-good factor, because people feel genuinely grateful for those who are gifting them this ability to make their messages go so much further than they normally would.
So I guess let's discuss some of the things about Twitter that are annoying that PanQuake will actually fix. For example, your timeline, Twitter actually, without your consent, just randomly refreshes your timeline. Like maybe you want to click on a tweet, but then suddenly it's gone, and you've been refreshed. Has PanQuake solved that?
Look, PanQuake is a whole new world. It's a whole new universe in terms of user experience. So as you alluded to, I'm a professional software development manager by trade. I've worked on big portal projects for large numbers of users for major institutions in New Zealand. And I have been working with some of the best developers who I've ever worked with in the past. I've brought them on to work for PanQuake, and the quality of our design features, our workflows, our use cases is a cut above anything that exists right now in the commercial sphere. So yes, you're absolutely correct that we have included a manual refresh function. So on PanQuake, you see new content coming into your timeline when you want to see it. If you want your timeline repopulated, you hit that button and repopulate it. If you don't want that to happen, it's not going to happen. You're not going to be pulled away from content against your will that you're viewing. So absolutely, for sure. But however, the entire user interface of PanQuake is a cut above Twitter in so many ways. First of all, you stay in a single screen view on PanQuake at all times. You don't get dragged off to another page and back, having to go forward and back, forward and back, forward and back all the time like you do with Twitter. You don't have to open 6, 8, 10, 12 different windows because you're trying to avoid the constant page loads. On PanQuake, there are no page loads. There are no page loads, no page load waiting times, because everything that you interact with on the dashboard dynamically rescreens in front of your eyes without you ever having to go to a different page. That in itself is absolutely huge. It means we've been able to remove so many clicks from the workflow. There's no forward and back at all. If you click on somebody else's name to see their timeline, your timeline just repopulates with their data without you going anywhere else to see it. Their profile and bio information just rescreens in the profile window without you having to go to a separate page to see their profile. So at every step of the way, we're giving users back their time. We're making things easier for them and more convenient for them, and frankly, more attractive for them. You've seen our UI, and it is a much more attractive experience for a user than any of the other major corporate platforms that are out there.
Yes, that's the thing that like takes me back, that surprised me, in fact, that the user interface is just so much more intelligent and usable than something that's around the world. One of the most popular platforms, Twitter, and yet this is like above and beyond that. So I'm impressed. because these platforms have multi-million dollars startups, but this is something that obviously talent produced. And one of the other things that you sort of touched on at the beginning, that you don't interfere with people's relationships and what they see and what they don't see. What I understand is if you follow someone, like on Twitter, I have 150,000 plus followers, but I tweet and I get like 10 retweets sometimes because
It's ridiculous.
yes, because not everybody that follows me will see my tweets. In fact, Twitter will choose not to show people that follow me my tweets, so they get to choose for people that stuff. But as far as I understand, with PanQuake, if you follow someone, you will see every tweet of every person that you follow. You don't control that. Is that true?
Absolutely. So how it works is very simple. PanQuake doesn't use any algorithms. We don't use any search algorithms, moderation algorithms, content sorting algorithms, nothing. What you see on PanQuake timeline is the native content in time linear order of the accounts who you follow. And that's all you see. There's no, like I said, there's no advertising inserted onto your timeline. There's no promoted tweets, sponsored tweets, none of that junk. You see only content posted by the people who you have elected to follow, and that's it. And we, as you also know, have a whole set of timeline filtering options that are on the dashboard at any given time. You can elect to add see your own content as well as those who you follow, or you can turn off your content and just see those who you follow, or your own interactions or their interactions, what they're liking, what they're sharing, etc. You can filter your timeline constantly. You can play around with it and alter what appears on it to your own preference, but we are never making those decisions for you. We are not sitting in between you and the content that you're viewing. This is a decentralized P2P network. The messages and communications go from user to user. The information is stored on the user devices. This is the complete opposite of Twitter. So it's not even that we're replacing Twitter, it's that we are the opposite. We are the total opposite of Twitter. Twitter sits in between every single message that you transmit through their network, including direct messages. We don't. We remove ourselves from the equation and we just allow people to talk directly to each other. And we use the blockchain to keep this transparent and permanent record of only information which the users intend to be public. The information they want people to see goes on the blockchain. Private user data doesn't go anywhere near the blockchain. In terms of account data, that is all stored on the user device and heavily encrypted. Only the user can access that. And in terms of personal data, we don't collect it at all. We don't collect email addresses. We don't collect phone numbers. We don't collect real names. If you want to put your real name onto your account bioinformation, if you elect to do that, you can. And if you don't want to, you don't have to. But we ourselves do not capture or store that information. We also don't capture device information. We don't want to know what operating system you're using, what device you're connected on. We don't want to have that information. We don't want to store it. So we just don't collect it in the first place. We opt out of collecting any information about the users because we care about the users' privacy and security. And we don't ever want to see, like with Facebook, 500 million user accounts breached and leaked onto the internet. That will never happen ever with PanQuake because we don't collect the information, so it can't be breached and published onto the net. So this is a paradigm shift. It's an absolute paradigm shift.
It would avoid a scenario where, as you may have heard on the Tucker Carlson show, they had a left-wing guy that tweeted a very benign comment decrying Alexandria Cortez for being pro-Israel, and he got, even though it was an anonymous account with no indication of who they were, he got a knock on the door from the FBI. So obviously Twitter gave up their private information because they committed the thought crime of criticizing AOC. So that would not happen with PanQuake, and we didn't really talk much about the fact that it's on the blockchain, but a lot of people are gonna, automatically wonder, are you gonna cave into pressure when it comes to censorship? Can you cave into pressure when it comes to censorship and revealing private information? Because we've seen in the past, situations arise where people who have they started out with the best of intentions, but then things come down hard on them, and eventually they cave into censorship and breaches of privacy. What do you say to those people who are worried about that?
So I can tell you that from the very first day that we discussed the idea of creating PanQuake, we have designed the application, the software, the network, and the business model to be completely impervious to interference from outside forces. So we have registered our business in jurisdictions in which are out of the reach of the US in particular, but also the Five Eyes and other potentially hostile jurisdictions. We have made sure that we will not be able to be attacked via the traditional legal or financial means that other startups do get attacked by if they don't play ball with security agencies. We have designed our application in such a way that we architecturally do not collect any of the information that they would be interested in. If the FBI comes knocking on our door asking us for data, we point them to our public blockchain and say, there you go, there's all of the data. Feel free to sign up to PanQuake, get a user account, pay your $5 a month like everyone else, and you can access the same blockchain copy as every other user on the network. So we have done everything, same right down to even our hosting. We're hosting in Iceland because they have specific protections around internet freedom that aren't available in Five Eyes jurisdictions. We have done absolutely everything we can think of conceivably to protect the users of the network. And that's a big part of where the P2P and the decentralized nature of the network comes into. By allowing people to interact directly and us not being in the middle means that we can't then be looked at to mediate, or we can't become a conduit for accessing information between those people. So that was really, really important to us. We are all on our team. We've got 30 people working on PanQuake. We are all privacy activists. We're all freedom of information activists. And we are all anti-war as well. And we are absolutely dedicated to the cause of protecting users and allowing them freedom of communications, freedom of association as well. It's going to be much more difficult for people to be profiled on our network than on other networks. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that it's ubiquitous. If you use your real name on PanQuake and then you have other references to your real name on other places on the internet, I'm sure that people can still do some type of cross-referencing, but that won't come from us ever. So yeah, I think we've to the max have done everything that we can to protect users, and will continue to do so in a very staunch fashion. We've also constitutionally agreed that our company can be inherited but not sold. So we will not sell if somebody shows up on the doorstep with $10 million or $100 million. We're not going to sell to them. And even if we did want to sell to them, we don't really have anything to sell them. We don't have the types of information that are commercially valuable in that type of situation. We don't have lists of credit card numbers and lists of user identities and et cetera, et cetera. So
well, you have I guess there's two questions. First of all, will people be able to have verified status, which means they'd have to give up like identity information, and would they be able to how they do advertising on Twitter? You pay money, you get your tweets put on some kind of a special board, anything like that?
This is really exposing a big lie by these big tech companies, like that you would need to give up identity information in order to be verified as a real user, that you need to like do some type of KYC or something with them. No, you don't need to give up that information to be a verified user. You can prove by yourself who you are. You don't need someone else to verify who you are. And that is exactly what we're doing with PanQuake. So we've developed a feature that we call self-verification. What that means is on PanQuake, if my handle is @Suzie3D, which is the same as my Twitter handle, on my account bio information, there is a self-verification field. And what I can do is I can go to my official website, suzie3d.com. I can make a little post that says, I'm on PanQuake. My PanQuake user handle is @Suzie3D. I can take the link to that post. I can put it into the self-verification field in my PanQuake bio and press enter. And then anybody who looks at my PanQuake bio and sees, oh, this says it's Suzie Dawson's account, can click on the self-verification link, go to my official website and see that I've confirmed on my official website, yes, this is my official PanQuake account. Or I could do it on Facebook. I could do a Facebook post on my Facebook page saying, I'm on PanQuake, I'm @Suzie3D on PanQuake, take the link to that Facebook post, stick it into my PanQuake self-verification box, and same difference. Or I could do Twitter or whatever else. So all you have to do to become verified on PanQuake is, if you choose to, this is an optional feature. You don't have to be verified if you don't want to be. But all you have to do is just voluntarily, of your own volition, create a post on a confirmed official secondary channel that you have anywhere else on the internet and stick that link into your bio. So then your followers can click through and see, oh yeah, this really is you. It's that easy.
Quite simple.
I'm sorry, I totally forgot your second question. The first one was about verification.
The second question was about purchasing advertising, or like...
That's an easy one to answer. The answer is no. No. Money does not buy you views on PanQuake. Every single person on PanQuake is becoming the customer, not becoming the data to be sold to a customer. And they pay, so our users pay a flat rate of $5 a month. That's it. And that gives them full registered access to PanQuake accounts. Like I said, they can register without submitting any email address, phone number, or anything else like that. And they can then begin to share content with the people who choose to follow them. Brands and corporations can start a PanQuake account. It will cost them $5, just like a regular user. And then they can share their content with the people who choose to follow them. What they can't do is share content with people who don't choose to follow them. So if CNN, or pick your corporation, if Time Warner want to open a PanQuake account, they're going to pay $5 a month. And then if you choose to follow Time Warner, you will see Time Warner's stuff. And if you don't choose to follow Time Warner, you will never see their stuff. And that is the same rule for every single account on the platform. You opt in to the content you want to view, and you are never, ever subjected to the content that you don't want to view.
That sounds like pretty egalitarian, as we call it in Australia. But
it's a fair go, mate.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a fair go.
So some people will say, well, $5, I can do all of this for free, like on Twitter or Facebook. What would you say to those people? And I changed my background. Those who know the reference.
Your background's beautiful.
Yes, thank you.
Oh look, I would state the obvious. The obvious. If you want to get spied on for free, then keep using big tech. If you want people recording the conversations you have in the vicinity of your devices and then selling the content to your private conversations, keep using big tech. If you want to be subjected to advertising and sponsored ads and content, keep using big tech. If you want to keep having people unfollowed from you that followed you, keep using big tech. If you want your relationships interfered with and mucked with and meddled with and manipulated all secretly, if you want to use a network where you never know why people are being banned, suspended, shadow banned, all of that, if that's your idea of a good time, then hang out on big tech. But if you want to get rid of all of that and much more, pay $5, use PanQuake, and have your freedom. And I understand that. Sorry, it makes absolute sense, because like nothing comes for free. There's always a catch, right? So basically, you're right. Essentially, you're no longer, when you're agreeing to use Facebook or Twitter for free, you're no longer seen as the customer. You're seen as the product, which they can then sell to the customer, which are advertisers that will push things onto you. But by being no longer the customer, what you get is treated like crap. Like especially on Facebook, people have had
their personal Facebooks with all their, photographs and history with their friends deleted with no explanation, and Facebook doesn't have to say or do anything because they have no, they owe you nothing because you don't in fact pay for their service. So that is especially true for Facebook, where people have been like this selective application to their rules as well. So that is, I think it's worth $5 a month. Like, it's to get rid of all of
peace
that.
of mind, it's digital freedom. I mean, even just knowing that your followers are still going to be your followers would be worth $5, let alone any of the other features, right? Like, we give people a platform that they can have total trust in the integrity of, and that they can prove the integrity of via the blockchain records. It's not even just that you have to trust in us, it's that we're literally hyperlinking to a block explorer and showing you, here are the preserved records of what you've posted. Someone's followed you, here's the proof. Someone's unfollowed you, here's the proof. There's no, did they follow or unfollow me, or why am I now down like, for me, I lost 4,000 followers in 1 month, and I did nothing different than any other month. It's just these you've got these purges that are going on, and you've got the blue ticks getting favored, and then people who should have blue ticks not being given blue ticks, and on and on. The whole thing is just toxic and corrupt, and they're making billions of dollars off their users. They are making billions. We don't need to make billions. We just need to make enough to be able to provide people with freedom of communication and association, to be able to restore the integrity of their communications and their human rights. And so that's why we've kept it as low as $5. That's why we don't have a $20, $50, $100, $500 option. That's why we're not doing a whole corporate marketing program, because it's not about that. It's about fixing the problems and the afflictions that we're all being subjected to by corporations.
I mean, people can choose to believe me or not, but I actually have a blue tick on Twitter, and that's only because I got in really early before they shut the door on everyone. But I have had people that I personally know, 3 people that I personally know, tell me that I was unfollowed. They unfollowed me without wanting to. They were just suddenly unfollowed from me. And now this is something that nobody's admitting to, so if I mention it, I'm going to just sound like a crackpot, but I would say that they're gaslighting me, and it's definitely happening. But
it's established fact at this point. Look, I mean, so many people have been complaining about this for years, and occasionally it gets described as a bug. But I'm sorry, there's no bug that does this and that goes unaddressed year in and year out. You've got to be kidding me. I mean, seriously, come on. And the people that they unfollow you are always people that are of significance for one reason or another. They are interfering in relationships, is what it comes down to. And they are gaslighting you, because you sit there wondering, does that person not like me anymore? Like, is there have I done something wrong? And you don't know. And in reality, it's not your fault, and it's not their fault either. And I also want to just quickly touch on moderation, because that's another thing that really gets me about this, is that Twitter and Facebook take these actions totally in the dark. They suspend people arbitrarily, they ban them, they don't respond to emails, they don't, there's no real due process. If you ever try and get an account unsuspended, it's an unbelievably arduous process, and you're basically talking to a computer while you do it. They just have the rudest little auto response emails, and it's just absolutely horrific, and you never get to the real reason of why they took an action, and there's no public accountability for it either. And this is another thing that PanQuake is solving via blockchain technology. So you ask, about what is our ability to remain impervious to pressures to engage in censorship. Well, for us, it's a public pressure, because to remain impervious to, engaging in censorship, because whenever we take a moderation action on the PanQuake platform, it creates a block record. And so if we have to ban an account because it's circulating something that's truly illegal, and seriously damaging and objectionable,
like child pornography, for example.
then yeah, exactly, child pornography. I mean, obviously, we're not here to create a network to facilitate child pornography or stuff like that. That wouldn't be okay with any of us who work for PanQuake. So when we are forced to moderate content like that, because it is so objectionable, that creates a permanent and public record of whose account we moderated, what post by that account we moderated, when we moderated it, the day and time that we moderated it, and why we moderated it. And then that can be reported on as well to the network and is visible to the network at all times, and who moderated it as well. So we are making public all of our decision-making processes around content. And no other big tech does not do this. So obviously, if we just started censoring, making moderation decisions for political reasons or for whatever other reasons, our network will hold us to account for that. They'll be able to see what we've done. So that's where I say that transparency is really key with this network. And we have zero transparency coming from big tech.
And I don't know if we said it before, but basically each quake will be a block on the blockchain. Yep. So yes, I'm sure you did. So it's kind of like they're very difficult to remove, as you know, if you know anything about how blockchain works. It's like one after the other. But I guess
that record will be mirrored on. There'll be copies of those records on devices all around the planet.
Yeah.
So it'll be impossible to ever get rid of it. So
finally, I guess I want to talk a bit about detractors, because whenever there's a new project or someone's doing something, you inevitably have some one who's distrustful and paranoid and is going to sit on the sidelines and say that, I'm sure you've had multiple detractors like, this is not going to work, or this is secretly going to do something insidious, or don't trust this. So can you tell me a bit about some of the detractors that you've had and what you would answer to them if someone heard about you, if someone heard some of their, claims?
Well, I think the easiest one is to ask them where their plan is for freeing the communications and preserving the relationships of all of the activists and content creators and the public at large in the world is. If they can do it better than us, let's see it. I'm all for other people also embarking on worthy projects, but all too often the people who are casting the stones don't operate at that type of level, don't produce anything of significance, aren't game changers for the cause of good. They do a lot of talking, is what it comes down to. And it's been really satisfying in the last week, actually, in particular, because we've started being able to show the application, the front end and the back end, actually, to independent media and to various organizations who we know that this will be a game changer for, and being able to see their responses. And many of those individuals and organizations had been targeted with disinformation about PanQuake in the last few months while we've been building. They were being told that PanQuake is a scam, that PanQuake doesn't actually exist, isn't going to exist. And now here they are actually seeing the application for themselves. And it's been quite hilarious to have these like little trolls running around saying PanQuake's a scam, while at the same time really significant people are actually getting to view the application and see how everything functions and how beautiful and good looking it is and how much work has gone into building it. So ultimately the proof is in the pudding, isn't it? Yes. The proof is in the pancake. And like the pancake is here. It's very satisfying. And the reality is that whoever fronted this project was going to be made out to be a villain, was going to be vilified, was going to have people told, don't work with that person, don't whatever. I mean, I've seen it happen to everybody from Julian Assange on down. Anyone who does anything of significance.
A lot.
Absolutely. Smeared, vilified, libeled,
he's in
slandered.
jail right now, but somehow he's in on it. Somehow he's in on it. I think that, God. Part of it is an attempt to prevent you from getting support and donations. So on that point, Is there any place that people can follow the content, donate potentially?
Well, look, I mean, I've actually got to give some props to the public and to the community at large here, because we couldn't have created this application without the public wanting it and supporting it. And we have had like literally thousands of people have come together and just thrown tiny amounts of money at us, so that we've been able to hire full-time developers, so that we've been able to bring in a full-blown commercial designer, so that we've been able to put together the businesses, establish the business, establish the frameworks. This is because of you guys. Everybody who has cared about PanQuake, wanted PanQuake, gone to panquake.com and hit donate has got us to where we're at right now. And we're now like pretty much halfway to being able to put this into people's hands. And all we need to get it to you faster is to hit our funding targets. So if you go to panquake.com and you hit the donate button, it'll take you through to our Go Get Funding page, and you'll see we're currently at about 74% funded for this project. Getting to 100% is going to mean that I can hire the additional developers that we need in order to push this thing out faster and get it into your hands faster. So literally, donations equals developers equals more tasks completed faster equals this application complete and in your hands faster. So the faster we raise that money, the faster you guys get PanQuake, and we can all kick big tech to the curb.
That sounds amazing. I will be putting all the details for all the links on Twitter, social media accounts that you can follow to get updates on PanQuake. I know people are going to be wondering, when is this thing going to actually come out so that we can use it? I believe not too long from now. Isn't that right, Suzie?
Well, like I said, the faster we hit our donation targets, the faster I get developers on, the faster we get it into your hands. I can tell you a couple of things. One is that our team is working already exponentially faster than the commercial projects that I've worked on. We have made more development progress than I've ever seen on a commercial team before, and that's because of the high level of belief and the high level of motivation that we have to do what we're doing. And secondly, I can tell you that because in April we got a significant amount of donations, in May I was able to bring on 2 new developers, and subsequently we are right now 10 days ahead of our development schedule. If we can get another big push and get that 74% to 100% complete, I can bring on more staff, employ more full-time staff, and by the end of next month, by the end of June, we could be 3 weeks ahead of schedule. So like I said, it all comes down, all comes down to meeting those fundraising goals so that I can keep expanding the team of full-time paid employees and rely less on part-time volunteers. And that will allow us to keep building the velocity of this project and to move through the delivery phase super fast. But I can tell you, I'm confident that we will, inside of 12 months from when we launched in January, have an active user base on a functioning beta. And I'm confident that we will get really swift releases post that and move towards the full public version. Excellent.
So I know your development team. I've seen who is on the team, and there's some very big names on there. People who are amazingly talented, but also ardent, diehard supporters of privacy and anti-censorship. But I also wanted to say, just as an anti-war activist, one of the things I love about Twitter, more than any other platform, and why I kind of neglect my Facebook a bit, is because on Twitter, you can actually have access to politicians, embassies, organizations like the UN. You can influence these people. Like there's politicians getting ratioed for an unpopular opinion and then going back and apologizing for it. And that's something I haven't seen anywhere else, which is why I think that Twitter should be considered a public platform, which we know it's not going to happen, but legally it should. But do you think, and this is my hope, that politicians and embassies and government organizations and just organizations in general will adopt PanQuake, and so we can have that, people's what do you call it? When people can actually talk to politicians.
Migration.
People's forum. People's forum.
People's forum.
Yes. Do you think that's going to happen? with PanQuake?
I think it is going to happen. I'll explain why I think it's going to happen. I was using Twitter in, I think, 2011. I was certainly reading and interacting with Twitter before that, but I started my first Twitter account in 2011. And there simply wasn't all of the politicians, all of the celebrities, all of the journalists. Twitter didn't start out as a platform where you talk to those people. What happened is that Twitter, over a period of 3 or 4 years, grew to have such a large number of users on the platform that politicians and celebrities and journalists started to migrate to the platform so that they could access the regular people who were congregating there. The reality is that the politicians and celebrities need regular people. It's not that regular people need politicians and celebrities. And the politicians and celebrities will go wherever the ordinary people are congregating in order to attempt to influence those people. So we very much are focused on grassroots support for PanQuake, on marketing to the grassroots and servicing the grassroots. And we don't actually care, to be honest, about the politicians and the celebrities. They will follow where the people go, but we don't exist to service the politicians and the celebrities. We exist to service the everyday people, what WikiLeaks would say, the powerless. We believe in privacy for the powerless and transparency for the powerful. So we have built a network that is completely transparent and that is completely private and secure for regular users. And regular users buying into that will determine the success of the platform.
Well, thank you so much for telling us all of that. Is there anything you want to add? Anything you want to say?
Just that I think you're a super brave woman, and I've seen you also be smeared and vilified, and I've seen you take really, really brave stances. And I respect you for that very much. And I think that PanQuake is a natural home for you and your work, and that you, like other anti-war activists in particular, will benefit greatly from being able to circulate information unrestricted, especially information that people take great risks for and they pay a great price for. And it's intolerable to me that big tech would prevent people taking such risks from being able to circulate that information. And I'm very proud to be a part of an amazing team that is bringing us all a solution that guarantees our ability to spread valuable truth to each other.
Well, thank you so much for those words. I'm honored that someone like you even knows who I am, to be honest. When I was, part of the Occupy Wall Street movement back in the day, and you were the one who was leading it, so I was just a nobody. So from one brave woman to another brave woman, thank you for letting me be part of the PanQuake team, and I hope everybody falls in as much love with it as I did from my followers. So thanks for coming on my talk.
I've got actually 3 words for anybody who doubts the heat that you take for embarking on any project that threatens the status quo in a significant way, or that will bring freedom or truth to a large number of people. And those 3 words are: try it yourself. Try it yourself and see for yourself what happens.
Yes. Do it without being anonymous and see what happens. Before you from the sidelines throw stones at people who are actually, public. You should try it yourself and see if you can survive it. But I hope they don't have to. I hope PanQuake will be an alternative. So thank you so much.
I hope so too. And now I'm just gonna ruin your ending and add one more thing. One more thing I want to add.
2 more things.
PanQuake is open source. It is free and open source software. What that means is, even if by some method they manage to squash PanQuake as an organization or us, the technology that we have built is going to be in the public arena. Other people are going to be able to take that code, they're going to be able to repurpose it, they're going to be able to reconstruct it, they're going to be able to make other PanQuakes. This isn't about us trying to become the next Facebook, have billions of dollars and have 2 billion users. This is about us trying to free people. And via being free and open source software, via publishing our code, we are going to give other human beings the ability to achieve the same ends of PanQuake, whether or not it's under the PanQuake logo. So that's my final thought on that front. When you're backing us and when you're donating to support this project, you're supporting the creation of a code base that will be available to all of humankind to repurpose and build upon and refactor.
I thought open source was a thing of the past, so I'm glad that it's not.
It's how the heart and soul of the application will live on beyond any of the people who are involved in the creation of it.
I just hope that people realize that, just at the end of the day, you get what you pay for, and just free yourself, rely on yourself. Just pay that $5 a month and create a platform that basically is owned by you and will not control you and will not oppress you. A platform for the people. So please, the floor is yours. If there's anything else, let me know.
Say that COVID, the whole COVID situation has devastated a lot of lives, and we are very aware that for some people, $5 is the difference between eating or not eating.
Oh,
and for that reason, we have instituted compassionate accounts. If you are facing genuine hardship circumstances, you can apply to PanQuake for a compassionate account. One will be granted to you, and you'll be able to have a fully registered account without paying the $5. We're not here to squeeze $5 out of every user on the internet. Those who can afford to pay will pay. Those who can't will make provisions for. We do not expect people on the ground in Gaza to be paying $5 per account, but we very much do want to help to give a voice to people who are on the ground in Gaza.
That is actually, that makes a lot of sense. But I guess when you have enough users, there will be enough people that are paying the $5 so that the platform will be able to stay up, basically. Eventually, there's going to be enough money circulating for poor people or people from third world countries or people who are being genocided by Israel, that they can not have to pay $5 to have a voice. I think that that's a really altruistic, great system, and there's no way people can say, oh, well, why don't they get to pay $5? It's only $5. Come on, it's nothing. Maybe you can even have a donate feature where if you pay $10, you get to.
So we have a gift account. Yeah, we have a gift account feature where you can buy multiple accounts and give them to other people. Like for me, I would make a couple of accounts for my kids. I'd pay $15 a month and be able to have all three of us on the platform. You'll have people in organizations who want to purchase multiple accounts, or people in activist groups want to purchase multiple accounts. But the compassionate accounts is specifically for anybody whose whose physical circumstances mean that they simply don't have that ability to pay that money. And we don't want them excluded from the conversation. We don't want to create a haves and haves not situation. We care about what people are going through. We are activists, we care. We understand the whys behind why people are facing hardships, and we don't want to make their lives any harder. We want to help them to still have, everyone deserves the same rights, and that's what we're about.